Can we have a moment of silence? Because I have done it again. I have recorded a clip facing backwards. It would have been so cute because I had Gracie in them. I had you in them and you were staring at the camera. I'm mad about it. What do you think? Are you mad about it? You know what I can do though? I can do a mini intro. This is an intro to the intro. Because I filmed the intro backwards. Can you believe I did that again? You're about to see visuals from now and audio from like 10 minutes ago. Either way. Oh, big sneeze. You okay, kid? Either way, hello, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay. Let's stare at the audience while they hear things. Oh, they hear mommy talking about books. Hey, hi, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good 2 a.m. if that's what time it is where you are. If it is 2 a.m. where you're at, go to sleep. Don't be watching this. Just click the little X, go to sleep. But basically, I was trying to build a TBR of books that I'd be reading for this video. I don't know if I'm gonna be getting to all of these, but these are ones that are on my radar. We'll see what I actually end up reading. Something I started is The Binding by Bridget Collins. This is the Waterstones edition. I'm like 10% of the way in, so I'm still relatively getting to figure out what's going on. Without spoiling anything or really giving anything away, The Binding has something to do with a boy becoming a bookbinder's apprentice, which actually adds on to the fact that this book is like so beautiful in and of itself. Like for a book about beautifully bound books, I feel like it's so extra special to have a beautifully bound book. Other books on my radar, When Women Were Dragons. I just got this in from Forbidden Planet. The thing that sold me on this one is apparently women turning into dragons. I don't need any more. Sold. Add to cart. The other books are audiobooks. The second book in the Inheritance Games trilogy, question mark? I think it's called The Hawthorne Legacy. So I read book 1, I enjoyed it. So I want to read at least like what's out yet to get a better idea, because Fairy Loot's coming out with special editions, hence me trying to speed read them before they come out with the editions. And the other audiobook that I've been wanting to read is All Boys Aren't Blue. I have heard incredible things about it. I have deleted what it's about from my brain. That way I can jump into it and enjoy it completely fresh. Enjoy this barely visible visual of Gracie in her glow up color as we walk, just so I can update you and say that I am predicting something. I won't say what because I don't want to spoil it, but I am predicting something. I don't know what to do with myself. I was right. What I said, remember when I said, and I made that short video and I was like, something's gonna happen. I know it. I just knew it. I predicted it and I was right, and now I'm feral. I am on chapter 17, part 2, more than halfway through. And I just want to scream about how much I love this book, about how much I love what's going on. And if anything bad happens, I'm gonna cry. Like, I gotta take my pulse. I'm racing. I don't know what to do with myself. I have so much energy. And like, I want to read. I want to keep reading so bad, but I also needed to update. And also I don't want to keep reading. It's like when you're eating cake and it's so good and it's that last slice and you don't want to eat it yet. You want to just savor the moment. And if anything bad happens, I'm gonna die. This freaking book, read this book. And if you read this book, do not DNF until you're halfway through. I know I'm usually the one who's like, you know, if you're not enjoying it, get rid of it right away, but let it get to that point. Let what's gonna happen, and then make your decision. I have goosebumps. Literal freaking goosebumps. Do you see that? I've transcended this plane, and I'm on a different plane, and I want to be reading this so bad, and I don't want to ever pick it up again. Nothing bad can happen. Nothing bad can happen, or I will revolt. I will revolt. Emotions are being played with right now. They are being played with. My heart is in a vice. It's in a vice, and it's just pumping. It's pumping. It's pumping. But it's in a vice. It's in a vice. It's so hard because I want to say what I love about it so much. I want to be specific so that it can reach the people it needs to reach. But I can't. I can't without spoiling it. And if it's not spoiled, it's so much sweeter. It's so much sweeter. So I won't spoil it. I won't. I will not spoil this book. Any review I'm gonna give about this book, no spoilers. And I'll read the summary for you too. After I finish this book, I will read the summary and let you know whether or not you should read that summary, depending on whether or not it spoils the book. Oh, I need to keep reading. She's so used to my BS. Look at her. She's like, please, I'm trying to relax. And I'm like, you don't understand. Thoughts? I agree. I had to update because I just freaking finished it and it was so good. Immediately after finishing it, I had to go back and read a part again. I will say trigger warnings for a lot of things: infanticide, sexual assault, animal cruelty and death, homophobia, suicide. It's a lot, but I think that's all. Definitely deals with a lot of heavy topics. I did go back and read the summary that's on Goodreads at least, and it is spoilery. I would not read it. I think that you could handle those content warnings. I highly, highly recommend it. This book is 5 stars. You saw it. It made me cry. It made me laugh. It made me smile. These characters are so complex. Such an interesting premise. Greatly executed. The writing is smooth like butter. Like, there was one quote that was along the lines of, it went from too soon to too late without the right moment in between to like do something. And I just want you to read it. Pick this book up without knowing anything about it. Just read it. Don't read the summary. Just read this book. I can't imagine you getting to the 60% mark and not liking it. I'm trying to see what I can say without spoiling. The romance in this book is impeccable. The characters are incredible, complex, layered, like onions, as Shrek would say. Just read it. Just read it. That's all I have left to say. Just read it. So it is the next day. Last night I decided to go to bed early. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna change up my sleep schedule for the better. It's gonna be great. So I go to bed, not really super tired, but I don't want to stay on my phone. You know, the blue light's gonna mess with my circadian rhythm. So I was like, you know what? To help me calm down, I'm gonna read a book. I'm just gonna read just a little bit, and that's gonna help me to go to sleep. When has that ever worked for me? That has never worked for me. I just picked up something. It was next to me on my nightstand. Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. Just a couple of chapters, you know. I stayed up till 4 a.m. And then when I woke up again this morning, before getting out of bed, I read more. This book is unputdownable. It's absolutely ridiculously unputdownable. I think part of it is it has such short chapters. Like, oh, it's 3 pages. Like, I can read 3 more pages. I'll just have 1 more. And the next thing you know, birds are starting to chirp. Sun is almost coming out. I just stayed up all night. For what? So yeah, safe to say that I slept in this morning and then read more. It was an accidental read-along without even trying to do it. I'm just about a little bit more than halfway done with this book.
It's so good. I don't want to put this down. I didn't even want to film this. I just wanted to keep reading, but I was like, I can't just come on here and be like, I just read an entire other book without even saying anything. You know, I'm 100% going to finish this very shortly. The writing is so good and so tight. There is not a word that's wasted. Character descriptions and actions will be super short, but immediately you get to know who these characters are by those actions, by those descriptions. The characters are rich and funny. Speaking of funny, this book is actually laugh out loud hilarious, but then it'll sucker punch you out of nowhere. And I'll be like, ha 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 ha, and then it's like poof, out of nowhere. And then it cuts it with more humor. My emotions are just wobble wee woo. I am speechless, flabbergasted, all the words. This just makes me want to read every book. Like every book ever. Not even just every book. Like I read this and I just want to read everything. I don't want to do anything else. I just want to spend the rest of my life feeling the way I feel when I read this. I'm actually gonna stop. This is not as rambly as some of my other updates because I gotta get back to reading. If things look identical, it's because it has not even been a singular minute. I literally just opened up the book to exactly where I was. And I was like, this is why this book is so good. Part of me wants to be like, okay, this book is about a bank robbery gone wrong, turned into hostage situation. But it's not really about that. It's more about characters and a look at all these people who ended up in this one situation. There are multiple POVs. Listen to this. I'm going to try to summarize what my point is right now without spoiling anything. What I mean when I say this writing is so tight is there will be singular sentences like this. There's a conversation going on. It's a normal conversation. It's even, I would say, a funny conversation. And then it says that this person has to go grab another sticky note because the paper is hard to write on when it's wet. And then it just moves on to more funny stuff. And you're like, oh, wait, what? Then you realize it's because he's crying. There's no other mention of this person crying. It'll just have like a line right in there. And it tells you everything you need to know without spelling it out for you. Like it leads you to the water and it... Speaking of leading you to the water. It leads you to the water so you can drink it yourself. It trusts the reader to be able to do the work to make these connections. And it also, you're having fun. You're like, oh, you're reading it and it's funny. And then these one-liners, you'll be like, wait a minute. This is still a hostage situation. This is still a terrifying situation for these characters to be in. Astounding.
I know I said that I would update soon. I was like, I'm gonna finish this book super quickly. And then I didn't. Not because I didn't finish the book. I did finish Anxious People very quickly after filming that last update, but immediately after finishing it, I started flipping back through, honestly just skimming it for a second time because some of these quotes just hit so hard. And so I immediately went back and tabbed some of my favorites. I don't know if it needs to be said, but I gave this book 5 stars. I don't think this is gonna be a book for everyone, but it sure as heck was a book for me. It really had its fingers on the pulse of feelings that I've had in the past. And to be understood by a book like that is really, that's why I love reading. That's why people love reading, right? My absolute favorite quote is the last 2 paragraphs of the book. So I don't want to read that out because I feel like it's more powerful when you actually just read the book. So I'm gonna read you a passage from the beginning of the book. This is a story about a lot of things, but mostly about idiots. So it needs saying from the outset that it's always very easy to declare that other people are idiots, but only if you forget how idiotically difficult being human is, especially if you have other people you're trying to be a reasonably good human for. Because there's such an unbelievable amount that we're all supposed to be able to cope with these days. You're supposed to have a job and somewhere to live and a family, and you're supposed to pay taxes and have clean underwear and remember the password to your damn Wi-Fi. I'm gonna skip the next. We don't have a plan. We just do our best to get through the day because there will be another one coming along tomorrow. Sometimes it hurts. It really hurts for no other reason than the fact that our skin doesn't feel like it's ours. Sometimes we panic because the bills need paying and we have to be grown up and we don't know how because it's so horribly, desperately easy to fail at being grown up. Ugh. Honestly, after reading that passage, you can kind of get the tone of this book, but it's also so funny and so heartwarming at the same time. It really does a great job at balancing those difficult emotions with humor. The major trigger warning that I can think of off the top of my head right now is suicide. If that's a topic you're sensitive to, this book deals heavily with suicide. On a lighter note, very different from the quote that I originally read to you guys, I really loved there were these like little quotes about women, and I really love them, so I'm gonna read one mini one out to you as well. It says, "Do you know how many men like you every single woman on the planet meets every day, who think that every thought that pops into your tiny little male brain is a lovely present you can give us?" Say less. What else does it say? The real estate agent takes a deep breath and says what women usually say to men who never seem to think that their lack of knowledge should get in the way of a confident opinion. I'm sure you're right. Oh, also, side note, you know how I said that there's like super short chapters, so it's so easy to read? This just tells you how short these chapters are. There are 74 chapters and only 330 pages. Is this a good angle? Sorry if you hear the AC. It is hot, hot, hot. Hot in Topeka, okay?
It's hot. Hot, hot. Hot, hot. Hot. It's hot in Topeka.
I feel like we're friends. We're having a chat. I'm over the side of the armchair. It is been a day and a half, 2 days since we last talked, but I have so many updates. I read all of Hawthorne Legacy. My hold was gonna expire it was like 2 days, so I had to speed read it. I honestly liked it a lot better than the first one, better than Inheritance Games. I think I liked Inheritance Games, but I was like okay about it. I gave it a 3.5 stars. This one, the Hawthorne Legacy, I gave it 4 stars. I liked the continuations of the different mysteries. I thought the reveals were really good. When I'm reading these kinds of like mystery books, I'm not really trying to solve it, maybe in the back of my head, but I'm not actively trying to figure things out. I kind of just enjoy the ride, and that's what this really was. I liked what they were doing with the romance. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that they went like the love triangle route, but it wasn't like some love triangles I don't like because it's obvious which person they're gonna choose. And even though I do have a hypothesis with this one, they make it pretty good. So it's like she gets even time. I look forward to reading the third one when it comes out. So I might actually have to get the Fairy Loot books. No. I was kind of hoping I wasn't gonna like this one, but darn. I like that the characters act like what I feel like real teenagers act like. I like that the friendship aspect was better in this, and that Avery actually took the time to become a better friend. I feel like that's pretty realistic, honestly, to be able to, and great that, you know, even though she wasn't a great friend in the first book, she was able to take a step back, apologize, and then learn and grow from that. I really liked the inclusion of that aspect of it. I thought the family dynamics were really interesting. Overall, a fun read. And then I started and I'm about halfway through the audiobook of All Boys Aren't Blue. It's a memoir, and the narrator is actually the author. I'm really enjoying it so far. I feel like the stories are captivating, entertaining, important about finding identity, both sexual and gender identity. I really appreciated that this is super intersectional. I feel like it's so short-sighted to take just one identity and build an entire book around that, because there's so many different aspects to these identities and how it impacts the way others treat you, how it impacts the different advantages and disadvantages you get in life, and it's just so great the way that they really tackles it. And you could tell this is a well-researched book. And a bonus is their hometown, and it's relatively close to my hometown. I know those places, which is really neat. That being said, I'm gonna keep listening and update you when I finish. I just finished the audiobook for All Boys Aren't Blue, and it was really great. I stick with what I was saying before. I would honestly recommend this to pretty much anybody. I think it's super informative, educational. It's not easy, especially to share some of the things that George M. Johnson did. They were incredibly
real and raw with their storytelling. Overall, it's just a very powerful read. Also, I'm sorry this lighting is terrible and the AC is still there. Also, George M. Johnson goes by they, them pronouns. I'm gonna, over editing, replace it with they, them. So if you want to talk about that book or the author in the comments, just make sure you use they, them.
Hi, I just wanted to pop in here to say that I was just reading the comments from my first video and they're so heartwarming. Honestly, thank you so much to anyone who comments on any of my videos. It really means the world to me that there's actually people there listening when I'm talking. Like, what? It's actually an insane thought. I cannot emphasize enough like how grateful I am to anybody who would even watch like 2 minutes of me talking, let alone how long the videos are, which I'm truly trying to cut down, I promise. I'm not important enough to watch for that long. But thank you so much for clicking on a random video. And honestly, like hearing about you guys like talk about what you're reading about just makes me so excited. I feel like I had to say something because like my cheeks are just hurting so much from just smiling. I had to say something, but thank you for being here.
Like the relationship.
Do you ever just get the need when you're looking at an animal, your pet, a different animal? You ever just get the need when they're laying there so cute to just bother them? Like Gracie is right now laying on my foot and I love her, but the other part of me just wants to snatch her up and pull her as close to me as possible. Even though we're already cuddling. Oh, she just moved. I think she heard me.